Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be going over players and maps. So what we're going to be doing today is going over what you can essentially do with players and the player file, like editing player inventories, editing player ender chests, deleting player data, all sorts of stuff in the player file, as well as going over how to do custom maps, which are actually really pretty simple. Let's just get right into it though. So first off, to do these mods, we're going to need to open up Universal Minecraft Editor. So I'm just going to get Universal Minecraft Editor opened up, and I have it right here. We do not want to update. We're going to open up a WiiU world. I'm just going to navigate to where my WiiU worlds are. Let's just open up HHNS because I know I have both custom maps and lots of players on HHNS. So this is the view for Universal Minecraft Editor. And in Universal Minecraft Editor, there are a few important tabs. All on the left here are a few different categories. We have the chunk locator, players, maps, world settings, and view files. Let's just go over view files really quick. It's just a view of the different files in the world. If you click on world settings, it's going to open up a tab over here where you can see a bunch of the different world settings. These are all really self-explanatory and I'm not going to go over them. And then we're going to skip over maps for now and go to players. And if I open up the players, I'm going to see a list of all the players in the game. I can scroll down this list here and we're going to see all the different players that have played the game. If we go to one of the players, this is my testing player, for example, you can right click on it and then click delete upon save, and that will delete the user. You can also right click on them again to undo the deletion, and if we double click on the player, it'll open up their player file. So this player is stored as a bunch of tags right here in this big list. A lot of this stuff is self-explanatory, but some of it has some extra features. First off, you can edit these attributes, but I wouldn't recommend it. It essentially changes some of the different attributes of the player. We'll go over editing attributes in another video. You can also check out their ender chest. Now, one way to view things is by clicking this drop-down arrow and seeing a list of the items. For example, in the inventory, we have this lead. Another way to do it for inventories is by right clicking on it and then hovering over edit inventory, which will bring up a UI which shows the inventory. Now from this inventory menu, we can't do anything advanced like enchantments for items or anything, but I can right click on one of the slots and add an item. So I'm going to add a piece of stone into the player's inventory, and I can left click and pick up this item and move it around the inventory. I can even put it on the armor slots, which are what's over here. Once I'm done with this, I just have to click off, and now as you can see in the list of items in the inventory, we can find that piece of stone. Another way to control where the stone is in the inventory is by opening up the stone item and finding the slot base. And if I change the number in the slot base to, let's say, 1 this time, and we check back in the UI of the inventory over here, we can see that the stone has moved throughout the inventory. So depending on which number you choose in slot, it will move throughout the inventory. We can change the number of items here as well. So I can change this to, let's just say 50. I can also do this in the inventory UI menu by right-clicking, going over to inventory, right-clicking to change the item, and then I can change the count of it right over here. The damage is the last piece of data, which can also be changed right here. I could change this to 1 and then hit the check mark here. And as you can see, the damage down here has been changed to 1. I'm just going to change that back to 0 because I don't want it to be changed for this piece of stone here. We can also change the item in this menu as well. So I can get rid of stone and type in brick if I'd want to change this to a brick. Once you've made some changes, you're going to want to hit the save button, which is right over here, which will save, and then you can select OK once it's saved through. You can also use Control S to save, which is a lot quicker. The ender chest is managed the exact same way as the inventory. You can just hover over it and click to see the ender chest, and then go through and change all of the data just as normal. I'm going to collapse the inventory view. I would not change motion, but you can change the player position. To do this, you have to work through these values here. The first one is going to be the X value, the second one is the Y value, and the third one is the Z value. So perhaps I want my player to spawn 150 blocks in the air. I'm going to click that. I can also change the direction that they're facing. The top one is going to be their rotation looking around, so like north, south, east, west, and the bottom one is if they're looking up or down. As you can see by this preview right here, it actually shows you as they change. So if I change this to 0, it'll say that they're facing south now. If I change this to 270, it'll say that they're facing east, and it'll go through and change those. If I change this to 90, it'll say that they're looking straight down. Negative 90 is going to be straight up. Always make sure to save your changes whenever you do something. So I'm just going to save my changes right there and collapse out these menus. As you can see, there is a bunch of other data tags right over here. Most of these I wouldn't change. Another really easy thing to do is make items a little bit more interesting than just being these plain old items. I can right click on this item to change a few different things about the item. So perhaps I want the display name of these bricks to be funny bricks, and then I can hit the check mark to save my change. If we open up the brick, we can see how that changed too. We added a tag, which is a display tag that has the name funny bricks. I can also enchant the item, which is quite easy as well. You just have to click on this drop down and choose an enchantment. I always like to use lure, and then I'm going to use 10. and then click check to enchant the item. It'll turn pink when it's enchanted, and you can see we've updated with the enchantment tag right down here. I can also move the item up in this view, but know that this doesn't change where it is in the inventory. The slot in the inventory is going to be the exact same, even if I move them around in this UI here. Once that's done, I always want to save my changes, and let's port this over and see the changes in game. Remember that if you are having trouble with porting your worlds onto WiiU or using them in Cemu, you can check out my 2 previous tutorials, which will be linked in the corner. So I've just got this opened up in Cemu. I'm going to load up the world, the same world we used in the last tutorial. And as this gets loaded up, you're going to see that I'm going to drop really high from the sky and fall down because remember, we set my player to be 150 blocks in the air. I'm just loading back into the world though, so I can show you guys what happened in creative. So I'm going to hop into creative really quick so I don't die. And as you can see, opening up my inventory here, we have those funny bricks with the letter 10, 50 of them right in my first inventory slot. Back into Universal Minecraft Editor though, I'm going to get all of this closed out because now I want to go into maps. So as you can see, there are a list of the different maps in game here. It's worth noting that the maps in this list will only show up as the maps have been generated by different players or the same players in different dimensions in game. Double clicking on them is going to result in seeing a bunch of data about the map, but nothing that we actually really want to use. So instead, you're going to right click and you can open up the map editor. From here, you can see specific maps, which are usually generated by specific players, and there's a few different options here. One of them is which world the map is in, if it's in the overworld, the nether, or the end, and all of this has to do with adding images to maps. Let's work on that in just a moment. What I want to know about these maps is that you can change which map is bought from, per se, a modded villager or something by changing its damage. This is map_0 here, but if we go back into a player file, I'm going to add a map to an inventory, so let's just add a map into inventory right here. I'm going to choose this. I only really want one of these maps. Check mark that in. We'll see it appear right here. We have this damage on the map, and if I change this damage to 1, it'll end up being the map_1. If I change the damage to 0, it'll end up being the map_0. So I'm going to give myself a map_0 and save that in. Then I'm going to go to map_0 in the map editor. I'm going to click select image to upload an image to this map. Then I'm going to click select image to upload an image to this map. The image that I'm going to be using is this one I have here. It's just called Darien Sunset. It's a nice gradient. I'm going to click on that and it's going to take a moment to load and it's going to get loaded in. Once it's loaded in, you're going to see a sort of weird, possibly looking version of your image. Obviously, this is not the same as this image that I just uploaded here. That's because maps can only display certain sets of data, so this is going to look kind of awkward. But if I turn off the smoothing here as one of the options, you're going to see that these lines become a bit less smooth and more noisy. I can also turn on dithering, which does this. It uses pixel density to convey color. I'm going to turn off dithering and keep smoothing off. I can also change how the image is fit, but my image is already square, so none of these will make a difference. But if my image was not square, it would make differences here. You have fill, fit, and stretch as your options, but I'm going to select OK on this map edit to map 0. Then I want to make sure to save my changes. And let's just open up Minecraft to see the changes. Once I've got Minecraft opened up, I'm going to see that map in my inventory. So I'm going to shift over to that right here. And as you can see, we have that exact map with that weird gradient design on it in my inventory now. Setting the map to a different dimension or using a map that originated as another dimension will stop the player from discovering the map as long as they don't go into one of those dimensions. One last thing before this tutorial is over is I want to mention you can click the plus button up here and then click on WiiU to open another world. So let's say I want to open up BWRS as well. It will create another tab up here, and now I have BWRS open, so I can check my inventory in BWRS as an example. We have my inventory here with a bunch of mob spawners and stuff. And we can also go into Halloween Hide and Seek here and open my inventory and see that these are in fact 2 different games I have in these open tabs. But that is going to be it for this tutorial today, guys. I just want to cover some super simple basic stuff with maps, player inventories, and a little bit of enchanting in there. A lot of using UME is really simple as long as you take it in small steps and make sure to learn everything correctly. My next tutorial will be about modded villagers, so stay tuned for that. If you'd like to check out any of my other tutorials or preparations for world modding on Minecraft WiiU, you can check the playlist right next to me. Have a good day, folks.